Once upon a time, in the land of Moab, there lived a woman named Naomi. Naomi, along with her husband and 2 sons, had fled from Bethlehem during a time of famine. In Moab, her sons married 2 local women, Ruth and Orpah. But tragedy struck, and within 10 years, Naomi lost her husband and both sons. Stricken by grief and burdened by sorrow, Naomi decided to return to Bethlehem, where the famine had ended. She urged her daughters-in-law to go back to their own families. Orpah tearfully complied, but Ruth refused. With words that would echo through history, Ruth said, "Do not urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I will go, and where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God my God." It was an act of loyalty unlike any other, and it changed both their lives forever. Upon returning to Bethlehem, Naomi and Ruth found themselves impoverished and in need. Ruth, though she was an outsider in this land, went to work gleaning grains in the fields to provide for them. By divine providence, she ended up in the fields of Boaz, a noble and wealthy man who also happened to be a relative of Naomi's late husband. Boaz noticed Ruth. He had heard of her unwavering loyalty to Naomi and was moved by her kindness and courage. He ensured Ruth was treated kindly and protected as she worked in his fields. What Ruth did not know was that Boaz had a critical role to play in her and Naomi's redemption. Naomi, wise and astute, saw an opportunity for Ruth's future and guided her on what to do. In a bold act symbolic of humility and respect, Ruth approached Boaz at the threshing floor and asked for his protection under the customs of her time. Boaz, humbled and honored, agreed but first sought to resolve a legal matter involving another relative who had a closer claim to redeem Ruth. In an act of respect and integrity, Boaz met with this relative at the city gates, the place for public decisions, and presented the situation. The other relative declined the offer, clearing the way for Boaz. Boaz's actions demonstrated not only his ability to honor tradition, but also his willingness to protect and redeem Ruth and Naomi. Boaz and Ruth were married, sealing a bond woven intricately by God's providence. Their union was blessed, and Ruth gave birth to a son named Obed. Obed would become the grandfather of King David, one of the most significant figures in biblical history. Through their obedience, loyalty, and trust in God, Ruth and Naomi's story culminates in a legacy of faith that bridges cultures and generations. Ruth's story is not just a tale of loyalty, it's a story of redemption, faith, and God's hand in the most intricate of circumstances. In every field of hardship, there is a harvest of hope. If Ruth, a Moabite woman, could play such a vital role in the lineage of David, then the possibilities for us are limitless under God's divine plan. So ask yourself, would you have the courage and faith of Ruth? Would you abandon what you know to follow loyalty and faith unwaveringly? This may feel like an ancient story, but its lessons are timeless. Loyalty matters. Faith matters. And even in our toughest moments, there's a plan greater than what we can understand. The story of Ruth reminds us that sometimes the most profound changes in our lives happen when we choose to stay, trust, and believe in God's greater purpose. Remember this: your story, like Ruth's, is part of a bigger narrative, and it's never finished.